Tonight, the federal government's sweeping plan to deal with artificial intelligence.
There seem to be a lot of the bases covered.
CBC News obtains a draft of the long-awaited strategy from jobs to potential restrictions for kids. The exclusive details. A groundbreaking drug to treat pancreatic cancer.
Believe me, it's not lost on me. I just feel like God's given me another chance.
A pill that is extending lives and how it could be used for other cancers. And the wearable devices helping Canadian kids with severe disabilities communicate.
It's truly the most amazing change.
The technology turning brainwaves into action.
Can you back up into the cup?
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. As the world grapples with how to adapt to rapid advancements in artificial intelligence, we have exclusive details tonight on Canada's strategy. CBC News has obtained a draft of the federal government's long-awaited plan that will guide the country in the age of AI. It includes promises to create thousands of jobs, support businesses with adopting the technology, provide free AI literacy training, and protect children online. Kate McKenna has the exclusive details and what experts are paying close attention to.
Artificial intelligence, the defining technology of our era, is arriving.
Since being elected Prime Minister, Mark Carney has said AI is a priority, telling reporters last week a long-delayed strategy is coming soon.
What's the holdup on the AI strategy?
It's coming out next week.
Now CBC News has obtained a copy of the draft plan after it was discussed at Cabinet last week. By 2031, the strategy promises to create up to 90,000 jobs, pass legislation to protect adults and children against the risks of AI, and massively boost the number of businesses that use it.
There seem to be a lot of the bases covered. It's a very complex set of issues ranging from AI and data privacy all the way through to how do we drive the economy.
Ottawa is also pledging to give Canadians access to free AI literacy training, following a study which found Canada ranked the 4th lowest among 47 countries on AI training and literacy.
That seems, to be honest, like one of the biggest gaps that we have right now in Canada is there's all this push to adopt AI, but there isn't really training to do so. I think it's probably number one, definitely at a time where lots of young people are struggling to get jobs.
Experts say they're eager to see details of new legislation aimed at safeguarding Canadians from the risks of AI.
We're already in a world where the majority of new internet content is being produced by AI. That will change what the internet is a lot. We would like to see the government thinking a lot harder about how to ensure that things like fact-based journalism still have a market in this new AI world.
One idea being discussed by Ottawa, putting limits on AI chatbots and social media for kids.
We are looking very carefully at age restrictions on social media, as Manitoba and Australia has done. We're looking at those kind of things with my colleague Mark Miller, the Minister of Heritage. We're looking at AI chatbots.
The strategy also seeks to grow Canada's GDP, build on international alliances, and assert Canada's own data independence, all in a fairly short timeline, and there's still no confirmed date for the strategy to be released.
So, Kate, this is happening in the context of U.S.-Canada trade talks. Is it your sense that this strategy, when it's released, might have an impact?
It's possible. The U.S. has identified Canada's plan to create a sovereign cloud, basically having full Canadian control and ownership over data, as a trade irritant. It'll also be interesting to see how American tech companies react to the plan, which could make them, for instance, watermark AI-generated content.
All right, thank you. That is Kate McKenna in Ottawa tonight. Doctors and scientists are celebrating a new drug that dramatically increases the survival time for patients with one of the deadliest cancers. Pancreatic cancer has no cure, but as Christine Birak shows us, for the first time in decades, there's a new way to fight it.
Rarely does a cancer drug get a standing ovation from scientists and doctors.
And we're all standing there in this massive room crying and standing. It was really quite wonderful. I just have to say that I'm still emotional about it.
For decades, metastatic pancreatic cancer has been one of the deadliest diagnoses. There's still no cure, but now there's new hope. American Debbie Orcutt has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. As part of a trial, she's been taking the new drug, daraxonrasib.
I knew my diagnosis was bad, so what have I got to lose?
In a newly published study, 500 patients were randomly assigned to receive daraxonrasib or chemotherapy as a second-line treatment. On average, the new drug helped people live about twice as long as standard chemotherapy, about 13 months instead of 6 to 7.
It targets this mutation called RAS, which is driving pancreas cancer in over 95% of the cases, and it was thought to be undruggable.
You can think of RAS as a family of genes that make proteins acting like on-off switches to control cell growth. In pancreatic cancer, one of those switches gets stuck in the on position and keeps telling the cells to grow out of control. Daraxonrasib works by blocking that broken switch, effectively cutting power to the cancer.
Let's go.
Orcutt was diagnosed 2 years ago. The drug appears to be working.
Believe me, it's not lost on me. I just feel like God's given me another chance. You better make the most of it and do all good things.
While found to be less toxic than traditional chemotherapy, common side effects of the new drug are blistering skin rashes and mouth sores.
And some concerns about the side effects, because the side effects do look like it's going to take a lot of learning on our part as well. Are people going to afford it?
There's no price tag yet, and this drug has not been approved by the FDA or even submitted to Health Canada for review. But doctors we spoke with say if all goes smoothly, patients could have access to this drug in about a year.
There is promise for other cancers, yes?
That's right. These RAS mutations that we're talking about, they're a big problem in other cancers. So we're talking about lung, colorectal, gynecological, and even gastric cancers. Just going back to pancreatic, immunotherapy works in other cancers, but not in pancreatic cancer. So it's possible if we could shut off this RAS mutation, then immunotherapy could also work in pancreatic cancer.
Wouldn't that be amazing? All right, Christine Barak, thank you.
Thank you.
In Montreal, a 3-year-old girl is in critical condition tonight after the bouncy castle she was playing in was suddenly swept into the air. In total, 11 people were injured in a gathering in a local park. As Sarah Levitt tells us, witnesses are still struggling with what they saw.
The aftermath of a party dramatically interrupted. A deflated bouncy castle left where it landed after being tossed violently in the air by the wind with children inside. And now a 3-year-old girl left fighting for her life. It started as a festive gathering in a Montreal park on Sunday, hosted by a local Catholic church. Unexpectedly, though, the weather changed.
This dark cloud came all of a sudden.
Rosella Paluzzo was there when the rain started to fall and the wind came. Parts of Montreal saw gusts up to 50 kilometers per hour, bringing down trees.
The inflated balloon, that really, like I'm so shocked. I still have that image in front of me, like flying up in the sky, like at least 30 feet high, and then all of a sudden it dropped on the floor.
A scramble then to get to the kids who were inside.
I saw all the aftermath.
Samuel Leon lives next to the park.
There must have been like dozens of police cars and ambulances and fire trucks, and it was just a lot of chaos here.
We had a total of 11 patients. We had 6 transport to the hospital. We have 4 adults and 2 children.
One child, a 3-year-old girl, is in critical condition. The borough mayor wrote on social media she was deeply saddened, adding, "We will take the time to consult with all relevant stakeholders to fully understand the circumstances surrounding this incident."
Here it's an Italian community. We all know each other, so, and it was really sad to see that happen.
Paluzzo says she was at the hospital soon after the incident and the little girl is on life support. Everybody, though, is praying for her to pull through. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
A dangerous person alert has now been lifted for Pelican Narrows, Saskatchewan. That is a Cree Nation community. It's about 420 kilometers north of Saskatoon. Earlier today, a shooting left one person dead and injured another. Saskatchewan RCMP were looking for a gunman who they say was wearing all black and a face covering. The suspect has now been arrested. The Trump administration says it will comply with a court order that temporarily blocks a roughly $2 billion fund set up to pay compensation to Donald Trump's political allies. The, quote, anti-Weaponization fund faced fierce political backlash, even from some Republicans, for the potential of payouts to January 6 rioters. The leader of the Proud Boys militant group, convicted for organizing the riot and later pardoned by Trump, says he is owed tens of millions of dollars for the suffering he's endured. Well, there are some contradictory messages tonight about conflicts in the Middle East. Donald Trump saying Israel and Hezbollah have agreed to stop shooting at each other and that U.S. talks with Iran continue. But as Sasha Petrusik shows us, that is not quite what the other sides are saying.
Israeli airstrikes continued to threaten Lebanon, even as U.S. and Lebanese leaders promised partial peace. It was a day of mixed messages. From Iran, where state media announced Tehran would cut off negotiations with Washington to end their 3-month war, angered by fighting in Lebanon, frustrated by shifting demands from the U.S. Not so, answered President Donald Trump on social media, insisting talks are continuing at a rapid pace, later saying a deal is possible over the next week. But after a weekend of firefights, missiles fired by Iran at U.S. military bases in Kuwait, and U.S. attacks on Iranian radar facilities, their ceasefire seems as shaky as ever, with fighting in Lebanon between Israel and Hezbollah militants a growing irritant for Iran. Inflamed by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's new vow to bomb Beirut's southern suburbs, a crowded Hezbollah stronghold.
Israeli warnings of imminent strikes on Beirut's southern suburbs are deeply concerning.
Trump says he stepped in to stop that, writing that he asked Netanyahu not to go into a major raid of Beirut. He turned his troops around, Trump says. As for Hezbollah, they agreed to stop shooting at Israel, Trump says. Likewise, Israel agreed to stop shooting at them. Hezbollah later questioned that commitment, and Netanyahu says if Hezbollah doesn't stop shooting at Israel, Israel will strike targets in Beirut. Israel's position, he says, is unchanged.
The United States should have leverage over Israel. Trump seems very reluctant to have that conversation.
A conflict that remains complicated. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Toronto.
At a Toronto synagogue, the Prime Minister announced the launch of an advisory council tasked with combating hate. Rafi Boudjikanian shows us this comes amid urgent calls to stem the rising tide of anti-Semitism in this country.
The Prime Minister putting to words the stark reality of anti-Jewish hatred in Canada.
Anti-Semites in Canada have fired bullets at Jewish schools. They have thrown firebombs at synagogues. They've attacked community centers. They've targeted Jewish-owned businesses, harassed Jewish patients at hospitals.
Reported hate crimes against Jews in this country nearly tripled from 331 in 2020 to 920 in 2024. Last month alone, a man was charged with shooting an imitation firearm at people outside 2 Toronto area synagogues.
The horror and shame are global. Our actions must be local. And they start with clearly admitting that Canada's civic compact is failing Jewish Canadians.
Some Jewish groups say that admission is overdue, saying wars in the Middle East involving Israel lead Jews in Canada to be scapegoated.
No matter what one may think of a conflict happening halfway around the world, nothing can possibly ever justify the targeting of Canadians with hatred, discrimination, and violence. And yet we are seeing that consistently justified when it comes to the Jewish community.
CIJA also says it wants to see stronger enforcement of existing rules, including the criminal code. Speaking before the speech, the official opposition accused the Liberals of stoking division.
Liberals have stoked this anti-Semitism by saying one thing in a synagogue and then saying exactly the opposite in a mosque to divide the communities against each other.
New legislation to address hate-motivated crime and propaganda is before the Senate now. Carney also announced the mandate of a new advisory council identifying drivers of anti-Semitism and evaluating the government's work on the issue so far.
Rafi Bujikani on CBC News, Ottawa.
With just a month to go before the July 1st deadline to review the CUSMA trade pact, Washington's trade representative suggested Canada would have to change its approach to U.S. tariffs.
2 countries in the world retaliate against us, People's Republic of China and Canada. So they're just in a different spot. And it's hard to see necessarily where that ends.
He is expected to meet with his Ottawa counterpart, Dominic LeBlanc, in Washington tomorrow. The U.S. is already negotiating with Mexico, but Donald Trump froze talks with Canada last year after Ontario ran an anti-tariff ad in the U.S. featuring Ronald Reagan. Well, we're gaining more insight tonight into pipeline routes being considered by the Alberta government. CBC News has obtained documents used in private consultations with community leaders that show the province is looking at a series of corridors through northern BC. Kyle Bax now with the exclusive details.
Alberta remains tight-lipped as it finalizes plans for a new oil pipeline to the BC coast. But documents obtained by CBC News show what's being considered. Maps show 3 pipeline routes through northern BC, the first stretching from the oil sands region of Fort McMurray to the northern coast, the other 2 beginning near Edmonton, traveling through the Rockies to coastal ports. Those ports all subject to the federal tanker ban. And all 3 routes have physical challenges: mountains, protected areas, and major waterways home to salmon.
As I look at those maps, either you're dealing with the Nass River or you're dealing with the Skeena, both really important rivers.
The northern routes go through communities that are supportive of a pipeline, one expert says, and avoid those that will aggressively object.
This is a strategic route for political reasons, not for economic reasons. So it will be a bit more expensive, but they must expect that will save them time and money on the back end.
The Alberta government is also considering a southern route to the Vancouver area. Officially, the Alberta government says no route has been determined for the project, and officials continue to work on technical details, costs, and consultation with Indigenous groups to show the pipeline is in the national interest. That will include convincing those in BC, including the Premier.
There is absolutely no way that British Columbia will ever support the lifting of the tanker ban or running a pipe through to the North Coast to put heavy oil into our pristine North Coast.
Premier Danielle Smith wants to break ground next year, which experts say is optimistic.
I'd say that it's wildly ambitious.
The Alberta government plans to submit a proposal to the Federal Major Projects Office in the coming weeks, but it's not clear whether it will include a specific route. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
The body that oversees cricket in Canada has been suspended.
They've clearly lost any faith that they had in Cricket Canada's ability to manage finances in a non-corrupt and transparent way.
How we got here and what it means for players across the country. An Afghan man who worked with Canadian troops now fearful he will be deported with fatal consequences.
Those that serve with you, they're your brothers in arms, and we have a duty to them.
The push to get his family to safety. And high-paced puzzling.
There we are, our first Canadian finisher.
Canadian champion.
102.
We're back in 2. Look at that. For the first time in his career, Felix Auger-Aliassime has advanced to the singles quarterfinals of the French Open, becoming the first Canadian to reach that milestone in all 4 Grand Slams. The 25-year-old from Montreal beat Toronto-born Chilean Alejandro Tabilo, taking 3 straight sets. Auger-Aliassime will now face Italy's Flavio Cobolli in the quarters. Well, Cricket Canada has been suspended by its international governing body. This after a Fifth Estate investigation revealed allegations of corruption and mismanagement. Fifth Estate co-host Stephen D'Souza now with the reaction and where this leaves the sport.
There'll be a tad of nerves, there's no question about that. It's a big stage for this team.
From allegations of match fixing at the Cricket World Cup,
Stephen D'Souza from CBC. We have some very serious allegations.
To accusations of corruption and financial mismanagement, Cricket Canada has been in turmoil. Now the sport's governing body, the International Cricket Council, has suspended Cricket Canada's membership due to what it called serious breaches of its obligations.
The financial suspension shows that they've clearly lost any faith that they had in Cricket Canada's ability to manage finances in a non-corrupt and transparent way.
A Fifth Estate investigation in April revealed allegations that organized crime was influencing decisions at the highest levels of Cricket Canada, a claim denied by those accused.
100% the documentary has brought a lot of these things out into the focus. That stuff has come out into the open.
Last month, just days after Cricket Canada elected a new board, the ICC froze the national body's funding.
It's a massive black mark that you're being told you cannot run cricket in your country anymore. That takes away your funding primarily, so it becomes very difficult for the board to function.
The ICC will now manage funding for Canada's national teams, which will continue playing. Cricket Canada is promising to continue running development programs, but some worry about the impact of the suspension.
There's some amazing cricketers here in Canada that deserve better.
Derek Pereira is a former national team member who trains young players.
Just to hear in the news that your board has been suspended, it does give them some insecurity.
In a statement, Cricket Canada says its new leadership has created an independent committee to deal with the ICC's concerns. The ICC says it will give Cricket Canada conditions to get reinstated, but so far, no timeline has been announced. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, a form of wearable technology that can read brain activity is helping carry out commands for kids who cannot speak.
It was like someone watching their child take their first step. I watched my daughter turn something on that she had never been able to do before.
How the devices are changing lives. And meat made in labs now described as indistinguishable from the real thing.
We take cells from a cow, a chicken, or a pig and grow it directly outside the animal into delicious meat.
Efficient and environmentally friendly, but will Canada buy in? The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. That is outgoing Governor General Mary Simon taking part in a ceremonial tree dedication at Rideau Hall today. The century-old tradition marks the end of her mandate. Canada's next GG, former Supreme Court Justice Louise Arbour, will be sworn in on June the 8th. Well, an Afghan man who worked alongside Canada's military says he has repeatedly applied to come to Canada but has been unsuccessful. He's living in the U.S. but says he constantly fears deportation and retribution from the Taliban. Mark Quinn now with his story and the retired Canadian major trying to help.
This man says he took a chance when he worked with NATO forces in Afghanistan, including the Canadian military. But now he says Ottawa isn't doing enough to help him.
I don't have another way what I do. I don't have another choice. Everything is gone.
CBC News is protecting his identity, calling him Mr. Frank, as he fears for his safety. During the war, he ran an electronics business at the Kandahar airfield. When the Afghan government fell in 2021, he went into hiding to avoid retribution from the Taliban. Eventually, he got a 2-year visa to live in the U.S. with his family, but the visa has expired, and he fears ICE will deport them.
I just die. Nothing. Maybe he killed me. That's it.
In 2021, Ottawa promised to bring 40,000 Afghan residents who helped NATO forces to Canada. More than 50,000 Afghans are in Canada now, but Mr. Frank's life is still in limbo. He's been applying to come here for years with no response. His daughter Nabila says Canada has failed them.
Unfortunately, they didn't help us or support us.
Newfoundlander and retired Canadian Major Tim Gujju worked with Mr. Frank at the Kandahar airfield.
The day that I arrived in January 2011, as our plane was coming in, the airfield came under attack. 14 people at Kandahar airfield were killed in that attack.
Gujju has been advocating to bring Mr. Frank and his family to Canada.
And those that serve with you, they're your brothers in arms, and we have a duty to them.
In an emailed statement to CBC News, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada wrote, "We are not able to disclose or provide information on individual cases."
There's no question of entitlement. They were clearly under the intention of the program.
Tim Gujou says he won't be deterred and promises to keep fighting to bring the Frank family to Canada. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
In the breakdown tonight, tech assistance for Canadians with severe disabilities, and lab-grown meat gives new meaning to fast food.
Oh my gosh, this is simulating a chicken's body.
It is happening in many countries around the world.
We take cells from a cow, a chicken, or a pig and grow it directly outside the animal into delicious meat.
Why Canada may be slow to get to the table, but first.
Good jumping.
Translating brain signals into real-world actions. The Canada-led tech helping kids with severe disabilities.
They had emotions, they just didn't have a means of expressing them.
How a non-invasive device is changing that. It's the ongoing development of something called brain-computer interface, and Tashana Reed met some of the people proving how it works.
With concentration and determination, Seth Tolensky is driving this toy car using the power of his brain.
It's hard work. You can do it.
With each roadblock and challenge ahead, he finds a new path.
Can you back up into the cup? Awesome. Thank you. Can you get out of the cup? Thank you.
Racing toy cars wasn't always possible for Seth. The 17-year-old was born with a rare genetic condition that affects his ability to speak and move his limbs. So rare, he's the only person in the world diagnosed with it.
For us, that's just always meant that no one can tell us what he can and can't do. And we've really tried to have him have as many experiences, and we've always really believed in him.
His mother, Melanie, says that belief that Seth was capable of more was proven 6 years ago when he used brain-computer interface technology known as BCI for the first time.
Let's see the jump, Seth. Good jumping.
Really, as soon as he put the cap on, he just went, and he was doing the cars, and he started running it around the track and not stopping, and we were like, okay, this is something that works. We got something here.
BCI technology is rapidly evolving. There are two main categories: invasive, which is a surgically implanted device directly onto the brain. Scientists are exploring its potential for restoring speech or movement in adults. The other is non-invasive. It pairs wearable headsets that can read brain activity from outside the skull with a computer that can translate them into commands. And Canadian researchers are leading the way in a unique space, BCI, that helps kids and teens with severe disabilities. In 2019, the Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital became the first pediatric hospital in the world to offer BCI technology in a clinical setting.
This was what we originally started with.
For the past 2 decades, Tom Chow and a team of engineers at the Bloorview Research Institute have been developing non-invasive BCIs for kids.
We heard, from parents, and they were very adamant about it, that their children understood what was going on. They had emotions, they had preferences, they just didn't have a means of expressing them.
We're going to do 2 more.
Once the headset is on, they train the computer to recognize different patterns of brain signals, starting with when a user doesn't want to do something.
3, 2, 1, quiet mind, nice and calm.
Then they train the computer to recognize when the user wants to do something.
Swim, swim, swim.
Seth is a sports fan, so to move forward, they tell him to think of swimming and program those brain signals to move his powered chair forward.
Want to think of basketball? Think of dribbling?
If he thinks of basketball, he will change directions.
Think about yourself dribbling down the court. There you go, Seth.
BCI has given Seth the opportunity to play, and the technology developed here is being used at 7 clinics across Ontario, with plans to expand it to nearly a dozen more.
We took that leap of faith to say that if in fact the kids are understanding, they are cognitively capable, can we use technology to harness the thoughts?
Still, access to BCI is a challenge. The system developed here cost around $2,200. It requires someone to help operate it, and it can be difficult to use outside of a clinical setting. It's something researchers are working to change.
You can measure actually brain activity using these fabric electrodes.
The idea, creating future BCI technology that can be worn seamlessly throughout the day and can be used to communicate.
I think there's still a lot of promise.
Improving access is at the center of what Dion Kelly is trying to do.
When we actually went to implement this at home with families, people just weren't using it because the headset was too complex.
Kelly is co-founder of the Think to Switch app. The Calgary startup is bringing BCI technology out of the lab and into the home, grounded in years of research at the Alberta Children's Hospital.
The people that will most benefit from Think to Switch are people who have not had any other way to interact with the world.
The app interprets electrical activity in the brain using readily available EEG headbands and translates it into commands that are preloaded onto a smart device. Their app, which requires a commercially available headset and a $35 monthly subscription, has been used by 150 families around the world.
The biggest compliment that we've received is that it's the easiest technology that they've ever tried. And that is just not really said in the field of assistive technology.
Okay, Claire, I'm gonna put this on your head.
The app has made a difference in the life of fourth grader Claire Sonnenberg, an early adopter of testing their BCI technology. Claire has cerebral palsy, which impacts her motor functions and speech.
Good job. And one more. Go, 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 go.
Pairing the app to a smart home device, Claire can operate a mixer and pour ingredients for cookies.
Good job.
Her mother, Stephanie, remembers the first time Claire used BCI technology. She was 4 and turned on a light bulb.
It was like someone watching their child take their first step. I watched my daughter turn something on that she had never been able to do before.
Claire, hit the lights.
Now 10, Claire uses the app in her classroom. She can choose books, create art, and she can interact with her friends and siblings.
It's truly the most amazing change and, amazing thing in our world. It just lets her be an active participant and lets her state her opinion. And she very much has an opinion on everything. There you go.
For Claire and her family, BCI technology opened up doors they didn't think were possible. And the future is bright.
Yeah, you see a little smile.
So Tashana, as you mentioned, this has obviously been life-changing for these families. What are some of the things they've told you?
Well, Claire's parents have been searching for a form of communication for their daughter since she was 3 years old. And they tried many other assistive devices which weren't feasible for Claire, but they say she was quick to learn how to use BCI. And so her parents had always been essentially guessing what their daughter's preferences were, but using this technology, she was finally able to tell them.
And so what about Seth? Because he's 17, right?
Yeah, so Seth, he's a teenager, he's in high school, and his mother told me there's actually a BCI display at his school, and students have been able to stop and see what he's been up to. And one of the things his mother told me is she's noticed a difference in how people treat him, but also how they speak to him. And she says, unfortunately, when children don't communicate in typical ways, people make assumptions about, whether or not that they actually understand what's going on. And she says that this technology is changing that narrative.
This is remarkable. Tashana, thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming up, meat grown in a lab. Are consumers ready to try it? Will Canadian regulators even allow it?
There's some hesitance on the regulatory side simply because of supply management.
The politics and the process of an emerging global industry. Next. As the price of meat rises, so does the impetus for innovators looking to grow alternatives, including cultivation in labs. That is happening in many countries, so why not in Canada?
If you allow for some products to be produced in Canada off-grid, that's going to create some tension.
Johanna Wagstaff looks at how it works and the possible obstacles in this country.
Lab-grown meat, real meat from real animal cells, but no animal. It's called cultivated meat, and it's molecularly identical to animal protein.
This could be the future of food, and Canada could be the last place to get it. I'll explain.
For the CEO of California-based Upside Foods, it all started with one single chicken egg 8 years ago.
We take cells from a cow, a chicken, or a pig and grow it directly outside the animal into delicious meat. From that chicken egg, I think we've grown close to about a equivalent of 100,000 chickens.
These cells rely on their own genetic programming to take shape. In a controlled environment, they naturally bind together, communicate, and grow exactly as they would inside an animal, dividing and packing en masse to build structured muscle tissue. The cells grow inside giant brewery-esque vats, doubling every 24 hours, fed by a broth of amino acids, vitamins, and sugars. Nutrient and taste-wise, it's identical to traditional meat, but it's also entirely free of growth hormones or antibiotics. And you can see why global tech summits and influencers alike are so into this technology.
Oh my gosh, this is simulating a chicken's body and the cells are just multiplying.
On paper, cultivated meat could be the answer to a whole bunch of different problems. The food demand crisis. By 2050, global population will hit nearly 10 billion people, pushing meat demand up to 70%. We simply do not have the land or water needed to raise that many animals conventionally. And that goes hand in hand with climate. Conventional beef takes up to 2 years of resources before slaughter. Cultivated meat takes just 2 to 3 weeks, cutting out livestock methane and slaughter altogether. And then there's biosecurity.
Uses incredibly lower amount of resources than raising an animal for 2 years and waiting for the meat and hoping that the herd is not wiped out by some kind of a pandemic or a swine flu or avian flu.
Upside Foods is targeting 1% of the total U.S. meat market by 2030, while Singapore aims to produce 30% of their protein in labs. In the U.S., safety approvals have been granted, and companies are currently focused on scaling up production from upscale restaurant menus to retail shelves. So why can't you buy this yet in Vancouver or Toronto? Why does Canada feel so far behind? Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab, says Canada's hesitation isn't about the science at all, but about food politics.
I do think that there's some hesitance on the regulatory side simply because of supply management. If you allow for some products to be produced in Canada off-grid, outside the quota regime, that's going to create some tension with very well-established, very well-resourced farming groups.
Meet the SM5, Canada's multi-billion-dollar agriculture alliance that legally controls how much dairy, poultry, and eggs are produced to keep market prices stable for farmers. When you introduce a technology that grows meat in a controlled, sterile environment without a farm, you get friction because it offers price predictability.
The real menace here is to provide a product that is likely going to be much more stable price-wise. It'll be exposed to less volatility. If we have an opportunity to bring down prices and democratize animal protein in general, and that cellular agriculture chicken is half price, my guess, even if it's labeled, my guess is that a lot of people will actually opt for that cellular agriculture option. And that's the real game here.
But here's the thing. Supply management was built to protect Canadian food sovereignty, ensuring our local farms aren't wiped out by cheap imports. Critics say, though, stalling innovation could force consumers to overpay. That price drop is still down the road, once mass production can surpass the expensive cost of medical-grade equipment, but industry projections show price parity is inevitable. But don't expect the process to move fast. Health Canada classifies cellular agriculture under their novel foods framework, a bottleneck that could take over a year to get all the safety protocols right. We reached out to Health Canada to see where that backlog stands. Here's what they told us. At this time, Health Canada has not received any applications for the assessment of lab-grown meat products. They went on to clarify that under the Canadian Food and Drug Regulations, all novel foods have to undergo a strict pre-market safety assessment before being sold. And in Canada, it doesn't matter if a product has been deemed safe by another country. If it's grown in a lab, Ottawa treats it as an entirely new, unproven novel food. Because unlike the US, where massive states like California can set their own pace, Canada enforces one rulebook nationwide.
Their economy is big enough to recognize the heterogeneous nature of the market. Canada is not big enough to do that, so we have to apply same rules for all provinces. And right now, I would say that Health Canada has a problem when it comes to assessing perceptual risk and respecting the consumer at the end of the day.
Meanwhile, global innovators warn that food independence won't wait for our regulators.
With resource constraints across the world and nationalization of food security, it becomes really important for every country to be able to be self-sufficient in growing meat or crops. So we want to be able to get all the countries a choice of being able to have this technology adopted, but they need to start hearing about it now and starting to work with it now.
The science is proven and the facilities are being built, but in Canada, it's going to take a bit more time.
So, Joe, when I hear you talk about meat grown in a tank, I suspect there might be a bit of an ick factor for some people who are watching and listening. It's safe to say, I presume, that the industry is aware of that.
Yes, they are aware, Adrienne, and they're definitely working through it. The industry's main strategy right now is to fight that skepticism with transparency. Some companies like Upside Foods actually leaning into that by building production plants with glass walls so people can watch the meat grow. They're hoping that demystifying the science is the quickest way to build public trust.
And apart from the issue of price, how else is the industry, hoping to overcome market skepticism?
Well, international data shows that once people realize this isn't a highly processed plant substitute or extra chemicals and enzymes aren't being added, the ick factor starts to drop. In fact, a survey from the Good Food Institute found that in the U.S., over 40% of people are open to trying it.
All right. Thanks, Johanna. That is Johanna Wagstaff in Vancouver tonight. Switching gears a little bit here, a July 1st deadline looms for CUSMA, Canada's trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico. So we asked Peter Armstrong to look at what it means.
Here's why the CUSMA deadline everybody's talking about isn't really a deadline at all. When CUSMA, or USMCA, was signed into effect during Donald Trump's first term, the parties, Canada, Mexico, and the United States, all agreed to a joint renewal process in 6 years' time. Well, the clock runs out on those 6 years on July 1st. So all three countries could agree to extend the agreement for another 16 years. But if they don't, it's not like CUSMA suddenly stops working. The text of the agreement lays out that option pretty clear. It reads, and I'll quote here, "The Commission shall meet to conduct a joint review every year for the remainder of this agreement." And the deal itself doesn't expire until 2036. And that's why the Canadian side keeps saying that July 1st deadline is more of a checkpoint than a cliff. That doesn't mean there's not a ton of pressure on the Canadian side to get a deal. GDP numbers released last week show Canada's economy contracted in the first 3 months of this year. That's after it contracted in the final 3 months of last year. And economists say there's no question what's driving that weakness in the Canadian economy.
I would say we can pretty much pin this, not just this weakness in Q1, but really over the past year, we can pin this almost entirely on the trade war.
And getting some kind of a deal will at least restore some of the stability to the Canadian economy and remove at least some of those uncertainties that are really driving the weakness in the economy right now. But getting that deal, that's going to be a tough road. And the rest of this month is going to be full of potholes, recriminations, and leaks about what every side wants.
So just a reminder, Canadian trade officials will meet their U.S. counterparts tomorrow. Coming up, speed puzzlers race for a Canadian championship.
You hug them, you love them, you puzzle with them, and you try to beat them.
The winning strategy next in our moment. Okay, so these are speed puzzlers, Megan Sloka and Caitlin Albert, in this action shot taken as the pair competed for a Canadian championship. So they were able to come out on top, finishing a 1,000-piece puzzle in just over an hour. Now their speedy solve makes our moment.
3, 2, 1, puzzle.
It's like any other race. Everyone runs the same track at the same time. Whoever finishes first wins. But in this case, the track is a puzzle that none of us have seen before.
When you walk in, you just see all the tables lined up, And then that's when it sinks in like, oh, it's coming.
Once the puzzle is out of the box and you've just got a pile of pieces on the table, most people will start by looking for the edges.
And usually then you hear the sound of everyone flipping their pieces and pulling out their border.
And they'll also start looking for whatever the most obvious thing is, the brightest color.
It took us 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 11 seconds to finish our 1,000-piece puzzle together.
There we are, our first Canadian finisher. 102.09 according to our clock.
It's a very friendly group of people.
But you hug them, you love them, you puzzle with them, and you try to beat them.
And we got a hot tip from them about how to do this quickly. So they said when you flip over the pieces, arrange them in sort of colors, then put all those little mini piles together, and then put the whole thing together. Although part of puzzling is like taking your time with it, but if you want to win something, do that. From all of us at The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.